much. And joining me by phone right now, former Vice President and 2020 presidential candidate Joe Biden. Mr. Vice President, thanks for being with us today. And there's a lot to talk about. Well, there's a lot to talk about Syria and the conduct of foreign policy. But with this lieutenant colonel today testifying as we speak and being slammed by the president on a tweet, the witness who listened into that call with President Zelensky, President Trump, today called him a never-Trumper. Others on Fox News have suggested he was a spy. This is a man who, with his twin brother, came as a 3-year-old Jewish refugee from Ukraine and has been in military service for his entire career. What is your reaction to the way he is being really undercut or vilified by some of the president and his supporters?
Well, that's the way the president acts. He did the same thing with John McCain in 2015, and he did it with the Gold Star family member. He did it with Taylor. This guy won the Purple Heart. This guy is a hero. This guy is a patriot. But this is just Trump's style. It's the same reason why he has a bunch of his thugs out there and, engaging in this kind of activity of intimidation, the Giulianis and the cronies that got arrested. I mean, this is it's despicable to do this to. This guy is a patriot. I've never met him, but he is a hell of a patriot.
The House is also at this time moving on to a resolution today on the impeachment inquiry to the floor. Republicans have seized upon this, complaining about the process. From your perspective, isn't there a political downside to this? There's very little possibility that once an impeachment is voted in the House, that it will go anywhere in the Senate. So does it hurt the 2020 Democratic candidates? And you presumably hope to be the nominee.
Andrea, whether it does or not is not relevant. How can one let the conduct of a president inviting at least 3 foreign governments to interfere in our elections not go investigate it? And how can we possibly? I mean, George Washington, in his farewell address, said he warned about the greatest threat, I'm paraphrasing, to new republics is the influence of foreign governments. And this is the only president, to the best of my knowledge, who's ever asked 3 different countries, foreign governments, to get engaged in the political apparatus and the political affairs of the United States. And to this day, he has not acknowledged that Putin got involved in the 2016 election. He's engaged again. The only 2 things I've learned in the last couple of weeks is that Putin doesn't want me to be president with all the bots he's put out and they took down on Facebook, and Trump doesn't want me to be the nominee. I mean, this man has no credibility at all, and to let it go uninvestigated. This is a constitutional issue. This, as I said before, he said he'd go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and get away with it. Well, I think he thinks he's right. He's shooting holes in the Constitution right now. And no matter what it does to the 2020 election, it's a requirement, a constitutional obligation to take a look at this.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.